there are schools now in psychology, which, by the way, are not recognized by the modern, psychology and
Yeah.
psychotherapists. Like the one that I went into, it's originally named Snow Lion, but it's like body oriented psychotherapy, and it has a couple of people that it refers to. It's like Wilhelm Reich and Lowen, in like core energetics and then character structures. But we did tons of shamanism as well, a lot of like spiritual stuff, and I think that this was perfect. This would be probably a good solution for the Western spirituality, where it's a blend of psychology and spirituality. And
And if, and
yeah,
if only Western medicine would include a bit of Eastern medicine,
yeah,
like parasitology, cleansing your colon,
yeah.
cleansing your body, getting rid of like mold and candida and fungi and all sorts of things, and combining everything. Actually, I mean, I'm sure there's schools somewhere around the world that you have to pay thousands of
Yeah, it was
euros for to
expensive.
like,
It
it's
was
probably a
expensive.
rich person hobby. Let's be honest,
It is. It
But
is,
I
unfortunately.
really wish people would make these services more affordable for the everyday human. Because now, even if you want to get a personal coaching, for example, you go on these websites, and I am going to really criticize that because I'm actually sick of seeing this myself. That you go online and you want to book a coaching, and then you have to go through this extensive 20-question questionnaire that is guilt tripping you. Do you not want to invest in yourself? You do. If you want to be the best version of yourself, click yes or no. Well, obviously you're going to click yes, because who doesn't want to be the best version of
This
themselves,
is bullshit.
And then you go
What
through
does that
20,
mean? What
you
does
go
that
through
mean? Being the
you go
best
through
version of yourself.
exactly. So what does that actually entail? So you go through these 20 questions, and at the very end of this huge guilt trip, where I feel bad now, because I apparently, according to this questionnaire, I'm a real shit person that doesn't want to invest in myself. And then you go through that, and then the price is like 2,500 euro for like an hour session. I'm just like, I'm sorry
What?
now. I'm sorry.
No.
I really value, and um, I respect that everybody has to make money, and everybody, money is energy,
Of
abundance is,
course.
like,
But
it's
that's
so
too much.
important, super important to be well off financially and to be stable. But it just comes to a point where, like, people, we're talking about that if someone needs help, and not everybody can afford these ridiculously guilt tripping expensive. I want to criticize it because so much, like, I see so many people really struggling with like entity
Hmm.
attachments, and
Hmm.
then they don't know what to do. They call priests to come to their
There's a
houses.
lot of fake people as well
Yeah,
there
there's
that
lots of
that are
fake
gonna
people.
promise
Yeah,
you to get
yeah,
rid of the entities, and
yeah,
they see entities around
yeah,
you and everything. So you don't even know what's false. It's very hard. Um,
yeah. It's hard to see. Like, I definitely, I understand if you're really, really good at what you do and you charge people a certain amount because you're actually super good and you're
mm,
well renowned. I understand that. But I see so many people, everybody's like spiritual coaches nowadays, and they charge these ridiculous prices. I don't believe that anyone can just purchase a course and overnight become a spiritual coach
no,
or become a
no,
Akashic record reader.
no.
Things like that. It takes
It's all.
experience. It
It
takes
takes
like
your whole
work,
life.
whole life
It's
of
your whole
discovering.
life work.
Literally, yeah, yeah.
And I've seen, like, I was a member of a lot of like these kind of
Hmm.
spiritual communities in Croatia and around the world as well. And what I've noticed is us in the West, we when we start doing anything spiritual, so we always hit, um, it's almost like a plateau where um, we start identifying with our traumas, and there is like either you go to ego and you're like, I'm enlightened and I know everything and I'm the smartest person in the world and I have everything figured out, or you go into extreme depression because once you start working on your energy, everything starts rising up as well. So all your traumas, all your issues, And in the East, they have this as well. So but you would have a guru to help you.
Yeah,
And
someone leading you through the process
and
of
here
the
there's
abstract.
maybe other people around you that are gonna advise you wisely or not. But
Yeah.
every time when I was talking with anyone that I know that got to that point, and that happens very fast, by the way, I've sent them to do therapy. And
Yeah.
I was like, you need to stop doing spiritual stuff until you sort your shit
Yeah.
out, because you're not doing anything good, because you're just like tapping into the negative energy within you and you're enforcing it.
Hmm.
This needs to be released.
Yeah.
Like you need to figure, and like putting energy into a trauma is not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And as you mentioned, then once they identify that, things happen really fast for
Hmm.
them. Like
uh,
in a way they develop.
Let me give you an
Well,
example. So let's say you have a person that was feeling uh, like kind of very disempowered throughout their life. So they were bullied as children. Their parents didn't take any notion of them. They were, couldn't get a girlfriend, couldn't get anything. And, so like we're talking about self-esteem that's like this. This person finds out that through magic, I am able to actually control everyone around me. I am able to throw love spells on a girl that I like. I am able to kill someone through magic if needed. And I'm like, okay, I am powerful. I have this. But this is a lie. This is like you're actually working through trauma. And this
you're
will
inflicting trauma.
it's almost like a plaster over a rotting wound. So you
Hmm.
put that plaster so you don't have to look at that rotting wound underneath, but you're still the same old boy. So you can't be sitting at home and throwing spells on people. God knows if they're even gonna, there's a high possibility that this person won't even achieve anything, because in order to even do anything, you need to have the energy for it. You need to have the confidence. You need to really
Yeah.
believe in it, right?
Uh,
But it's
you,
very delusional.
you have to have like some. I actually like the way you say this. You need to be like good with yourself, kind of.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
where power comes.
Yeah, and then you're not gonna need magic to get a girlfriend, or need magic to say what you think to
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
around you.
Exactly.
That's not what energy work or something like that would even be for. That's a waste of resources. Like if you talk with anyone who's very spiritual, or anyone that's like it's a true person that does spiritual stuff, they're gonna be like, I'm not gonna waste magic on that.
Yeah, true, true. That
Like
because
if
magic is energy. Like,
if
why would I
someone if
waste?
someone offends me, I'm just gonna tell them that to their face. Like I'm not gonna go home and light black candles and do things.
I know.
What's the point? And we're talking about the trauma. Like it's a trauma that the person like doesn't feel okay with himself and has the lack of confidence. So he needs to find a way to fix this.
There's nothing wrong, nothing wrong, everything wrong with people that start practicing magic that have are like 1% healed. So dangerous, and I've seen people doing it, and the results are just catastrophic with their life and the lives around them. They are experiencing all sorts of things, and even if you try and tell them, it's like, well, no, well, I'll put a spell on you if you like don't shut up. Well, it's like, okay, cool, go ahead, but it's just gonna reflect back at you. But okay.
I don't even believe in these things. I believe that we as humans have a certain bioelectricity
Hmm.
about us, and then depending on the vibration of the soul and the way that we attract things. That's natural. So magic would be just tapping into that natural ability that you already have, just having a better control over it. But like having some kind of delusions of I am better than others because I have this and that.
Yeah.
It is ego in the end.
It really reminds me of an example. I used to be best friends with this astrologer from Northern Ireland. and we were really good friends for a while. We were actually very similar. That's where sometimes you meet people that, they're quite similar to you in a way. That you have like qualities that attract, obviously. Like
Mm.
we both had Scorpio moon, we both had like Mars in Gemini. We had like similar experience. She actually told me it's like seeing my life. She was way older than me. She was way older. I don't want to say way. I'm sorry.
Much older.
I'm gonna take that back because she was only 15 years older than me. I think
Okay.
so. But she told me like, I think that watching you, it's like watching myself when I was 20, and I met her when I
Mm.
was around 20 something, and like we started off so well, and then unfortunately she became well, what I would call it, she got pulled into this cult, which is
Mm.
called the Asatru folk community. I don't know if you heard the Asatru.
Okay,
It's like a Nordic pagan
there's
pagan.
so many of them. I can't keep track anymore.
It's called the AFA, and for a while, I kind of took interest in that as well. But I had my experience from all of the previous experiences, so I knew I know bullshit when I see it. So I knew to not get too much caught up in that. And anyway, so basically going to the example that someone is like better than you, that thinks they're better than you because they're practicing something, or they have this access to magic that you don't. Um, she became part of this cult, which I'm sorry, I don't care. I will call them a cult, because they are.
Yeah.
They had on the 9th of every month they had to pray to Odin, and I remember once I was trying to get into the group, and because obviously I always took interest in paganism,
Nordic,
and
yeah.
and I remember I had this I had this statue. I didn't have a statue of Odin, but I had a statue of Aphrodite.
Ah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to pray to a pagan goddess on the 9th of every month. And I got such backlash. And, I got things told to me like, it is not your right to live in Ireland because you're not Irish.
Oh.
You're basically, I was told by this person, she's actually a famous astrologer. She told me that the gods will strike me down because I am offending the gods by praying to the Nordic gods, or like, things like that. Like, I don't belong in the north of Europe. I should go live in the south or the
Wow.
east. I don't belong here. I shouldn't, like, the reason of like, she said to me, I'm going to have like severe misfortune in life because
What?
I am angering the Nordic gods
What?
by like going against, like, basically by not worshiping like my gods, which is like, I don't know, Perun or Svarog, or
Oh my god.
and that the fact that I'm living in Ireland is the gods are gonna punish me because my blood shouldn't be here.
Is she talking with them so they told her this, or
Well,
she's just assuming?
I don't know. I know one thing for sure is when I went to her house in 2020, and I only stayed there for a night, and whatever entity was there tried to kill me.
Oh my
And I'm not
gosh.
kidding. And I told her next day something tried to kill me in my sleep,
Oh
and
my
I
god.
knew I knew she knew what that was, but she was like, "Oh, we need to cleanse the house. We need to cleanse the house." So, and consistently, this is an example of like being in your ego, being in
Hmm.
your ego in a part of a cult.
Mm.
Everybody feels what's right for them,
Yeah.
whether you can point something out to someone, and
Mm.
say, look, I think that this would benefit you, but to say to someone that they will fall apart because they have angered, you know it's a big thing to say, and I think anything that has a lot of ego is by default very cult behavior to me.
Yes, exactly. If someone tells you they have all the answers and that there is a set of rules to follow that will surely bring you to a certain result,
Hmm.
it's probably a cult.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was told that if I didn't do this ritual on this bleeding night, like, I'm sorry, but sometimes I like,
That
I'm
makes
sick,
no sense to
I'm
me.
doing things. I can't always devote every single. I know it's important to nourish your routine in certain ways, but have these like small rituals that you're feeling, like, you shouldn't do a ritual when you're feeling absolutely drained. or absolutely like up their day. Like there's, and
I,
I was told if I didn't do exactly these rituals on the 9th of every month, that the gods would go out of their way to strike me down. And obviously, I didn't believe in that. And eventually,
why
I
would God
briefly,
care? Why would God care if you do something on the
exactly,
ninth?
exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, and I remember I was given out. I posted this picture of this statue of Aphrodite on my Instagram story,
Mm.
and I got given out so much. I was like, "How dare you offend the gods? How dare you?" And you know what? At the end of the day, I thought to myself, "You know what? I am way too old for this." Um, and then I actually left the group. I messaged the main guy. I said, "Look, I'm just not interested in this anymore." And that was the end of it. It was actually quite easy to obviously they completely ostracized me then, which is fine because it's at the end of the day they did me a favor by removing themselves from my life. But once again, and I said to myself, this is the last time I am trying to seek this group. But if a group, how will I say this? I will feel when my group comes, and it will
Yeah.
be a feeling that it feels right. Things are
Mm.
going right in my life.
Mm.
People are happy for me. They
Mm.
are spiritually aligned to my feelings as well, or to not to just my feelings, to whatever is around me. So like it will come, but I must not seek it. you know?
Yeah, I think that if you have a group that's telling you what to do, and like things, silly things like that, you need to do rituals on the night, or the gods are going to punish you, and blah 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 blah. It's when you look at it from the point of like real spirituality, it's not actually not doing anything for you, because first of all, it's telling you what you should feel, not what you're feeling.
Mhm.
Like a real spiritual guru would be interested in your individual growth, right? So what makes you grow? And it's a very individual thing. We don't start off from the same place, I think. Like, again, I'm just coming back all the time to it. Like, East understands this, so they have different types of, kappa, pitta, vata,
Mhm.
different people. This is good for you, and this is good for someone else, and there is a mixtures, and you would, be advised to do this during the winter, during the summer. But in reality, it's more about constantly asking yourself, like, what am I feeling, what do I need, and that's how you develop spiritually, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because, like, if you're constantly being told what you need to feel, it takes you away from what you really feel. At least that makes sense to me, right? So I, throughout my kind of spiritual development, many times I've been said that what I'm seeing or feeling is wrong,
Yeah.
and that is like so injuring for a person,
And you
because it's
feel is right.
gaslighting. It's
You
gaslighting, yeah.
then you're basically, I was told that the whole time, like
Hmm.
what you feel, same as going back to, like, I always felt like I wanted to pursue uh, the paranormal, the metaphysical, and the spiritual in my
Hmm.
life. It's a need of my soul.
Mm.
But then this person, the same person that came from this pagan community, told me, I think your like path is to work in a call center.
What? Oh my
no,
god.
and I've,
Like, how
I'm
dare
not.
you? Like, how dare you tell me what my spiritual path is like?
Because I was so naive back then, I actually kind of looked up to her and I thought,
Mm.
maybe she's right. Maybe I am born for a call center and that's it. Even though I feel
Why would
the
someone be
completely
born
opposite.
for a call center?
I don't know,
Come
because
on.
sometimes you're like, I was definitely, I 100% take responsibility for being dumb and naive enough to believe that that this person that I thought was above me, and I respected in that way, that this could be true for myself.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, I learned to only trust what I'm feeling, and
Yeah.
it has never. I have never been wrong in terms of what I was feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could have maybe made I could have made a bad choice. Yes, I might have had poor judgment,
Hmm.
but the feeling was always
Yeah.
like the one feeling
Exactly.
that.
And like so many times, and that's the ridiculous part. Like, so because when I was growing up, so many times I've been said I'm wrong about what I'm feeling,
Mhm.
and especially by my parents. And this wasn't even a spiritual thing, so I was kind of taught not to trust my gut and not to trust my judgment. And then even like so many times when my judgment or even my visions or the things that I've seen with people, even when they told me it's correct, I still didn't trust myself. And it took me years and years and years to actually like start believing what I see is true, because it's somewhat scary as well to
It
have
is.
that gift.
It is.
Yeah.
We actually mentioned that a couple of days ago. Both you and I, we said that it's both a blessing and a curse.
Mm. But I'd rather have it.
Yeah, yeah, you'd rather have it, and a lot of people actually. Did we hear someone getting angry that they don't have these gifts?
Yeah.
Someone was getting upset, like I wish I had these gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't I have it?
Mm-hmm.
And people can get upset, and unfortunately, you see as well, a lot of people force this on themselves, and it's
Mm.
not a path that's meant for them. They really force it.
I believe that every single person can develop their
Hmm.
spiritual gift, but unfortunately, some people start off very, uh, you know, they need to work a lot, and it's possible
Hmm.
that all their work is not going to pay off as well.
Hmm.
So it might be an investment that, unfortunately, like their life is going to be too short
Yeah,
to get
I
anything out of it.
understand. Yeah.
Because some people are so closed down. I know it's generation of their families that were just, I believe at some point back in the days, everybody had gifts. Maybe
Hmm.
they were different, right? But yeah, for some people it's so hard. So it's going to be a lot of work, and it might not pay off.
There's a same with therapy. There's a lot of people that go through therapy. Someone gets their closure like very soon. They understand what they came here to do, and they apply these changes very efficiently. And I hear some therapists have to work with people like very kind of baby, like baby steps.
Yeah.
The process is so slow for some people because obviously every soul has its own timeline, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
The pace that
You you
you
have
you know.
you have a lot of things to consider. So you have your own personal trauma,
Mhm.
you have your generational trauma, and you have your spiritual trauma that you bring yourself through incarnations. So there's three things to consider, and and possibly three people you're going to have to work with.
Yeah.
Because what are the chances that you're going to find someone who can do all three?
Yeah. Very little.
But it's so much work because, as mentioned, like since Middle Ages, we've been just degrading ourselves here in the West. I mean, yes, mentally we did a lot. We did a lot on that physical mental spectrum, but emotional and psychological and spiritual, we didn't really do a lot.
And then you see nowadays, I'm gonna give an example. Men saying that a woman that's practicing astrology and tarot is a red flag to be avoided at all costs.
Yeah, sure, because she's gonna see through your bullshit.
Literally, I thought to myself, how typical. anything, anything that allows me to see your bullshit. Obviously, it threatens you. It will, and they. But then once again, I think obviously some people had very bad experiences with people that have claimed to read cards and
Mm,
do whatever. It's because once again, people are using their trauma
yeah,
to use
yeah.
gifts, and it's actually bad, And obviously, not only does people think that we're on the devil, now we're on what red flag. Now we're, and it's making us look bad. Just
Yeah.
stop doing, stop practicing from trauma. Signed by Anna. Just
I always say that it's like it's very hard to date me because I studied psychology, so I will analyze you as a psychologist, but I'll
Mhm.
also might soul travel to your past lives and see where you're coming from. So you can't hide anything from me. It's like so you have to prepare yourself for that immediately when when you meet me. I don't think that's it's I'm an asset as well, because I'll help you grow.
Yeah, exactly. It's growth is a imminent or inevitable. Growth is
I do
inevitable.
find it hard to date spiritual people. Um,
Same,
eh,
same. I tried and
because I need an anchor. I need
yeah.
someone who's very strongly here in the physical world
Mhm.
to pull me down because I might travel too far.
But I
Yeah.
definitely, I'm 100% sure that I have met someone that is a male version of me in every way spiritually. Unfortunately, I did find that with this connection, as much as we connected so well and so easily, and we talked about it was literally like a twin brother almost,
Mm,
except I do believe it could have been, we have many soulmates throughout life.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
but the problem was that the energies was as much as we connected, they were mismatched because
Mm,
we cannot both be all up there. One partner has to be as you said, an anchor, because otherwise it's not good to build something stable. Something long, kind of not even stable. It's just and I see a lot of, which is interesting. I see a lot of spiritual women dating very down to earth people.
man, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and I actually know one that lives in Ireland. She's a good. I think she's dating a like guy that has nothing to do with spirituality as well.
Mm.
So
No,
it's interesting,
I
even though
tried.
she's super
I
powerful.
tried. Like that was
Mhm,
my kind of dream,
mhm,
to find a guy that we can both practice, everything spiritually
mhm,
together. And uh, I don't know. It's also a thing with Western men when
mm.
they go into spirituality. I'd say 70% is because of the wrong reasons.
Yes, and then we know what these reasons are.
And it's usually the confidence and self-esteem thing,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and the
or
sexual thing.
a sexual thing as well. Um, or
And
it is the from the character structure is the schizoid type,
mhm.
so the one that has tons of issues with connecting to the material world. So it's your typical guy living in mom's basement on the internet all day, and practicing spirituality because he's better
Yeah,
than everyone else.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And the
Because
world doesn't understand him, and the world is all wrong, and he has it all sorted, but when he needs to like go and get a job, he can't.
or you have the well-renowned spiritual gurus that prey on women mainly. I
Yes.
wonder why.
Ha.
I wonder why, because I've met one such person back in Croatia that claims to be this big spiritual guru and
Hmm.
looks like a spiritual guru. So
Yeah, of course you have
looks
to
kind of
put
stiff.
the
And it's interesting that this person. Now, I don't want to look. I don't want to discredit anyone's abilities. I definitely believe he does have abilities. I can feel. I
but
can. I
what
can
is he
tell.
using them for? That's the
Exactly. The,
problem.
the thing is, he has amazing abilities. I do definitely feel he's got lots of power. But why is every one of your clients a young female? Please explain this to me. Why do you not stop? For example, he always stops people in the middle of the street and
Mm.
he talks their ear off, and it's only women.
Hmm.
Why do you not pull a 6'2" huge guy off the street and you talk his ear off and you bring him for massages and Reiki? Why? Very obvious. So,
Why?
like, yeah, I wonder why.
But this is our repressed sexuality that we have thanks to Christianity.
Mhm.
Again, like spirituality is like a very good conduit for getting anything that's stuck unstuck. But
Yeah.
then you would need to like have the tools to work with that, rather than like just getting that run loose and free, and you're like,
And using this as an excuse
let's
to
let's
cheat and
sacred sexuality, we can all just have sex, and this is how we're gonna get to the enlightenment. You're just horny,
yeah,
mate. You're
you're
it's
just
okay.
misusing your ability to deceive.
Call it what it's called. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you just want
You're
to have sex.
you're a Casanova. That's what you
Yep.
are. That's what it is.
It has nothing to do with spirituality. So it's the same way that Kashish also got annoyed with this,
Mhm,
that West got tantra into the Europe,
mhm.
and just ditched everything they didn't like about it and just kept the sexual part.
Literally, yeah.
It's
That's
not
actually
about
a good point.
it's not about poses. It's about sacred union between two people. It's not about like having multiple poses in the bed. Like, it's, oh my god. And I could bet you that every single one of our parents had that book at home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was a thing back in the 80s. It was so
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah, and like nobody knew anything, any spiritual side.
Beside the poses, yeah, that was
Yeah, it's
the
like, oh, let's
images.
do this pose, and like, oh, that seems cool. Like, oh my gosh, no, as you can see in a lot of like these cults, that it revolves around sexuality, and sexuality is actually a big part of it. Either like in the Christian ones, where young girls are targeted, and it's like, oh, and many times, they would say like, I'm going to bring you closer to God through this, or like, oh, we're now just going to raise the sexual energy in the purpose of praising evil. And I'm like, wow, man.
Same as the Order of the Nine Angles. They have this thing that I think it's ridiculous. They must pretend that there's someone they'll never be for 6 months to get closer to that, like, source or
i've
God,
i've, s- I've
you
seen
know,
that.
or they need to. It's almost,
Deceive someone.
yeah, yeah. You need to actively deceive someone for a
Mm.
certain amount of time to like pass this kind of like initiation test. I don't know. I actually can't remember, but I remember being part of this like Facebook group, and this guy, it actually kind of broke my heart reading it, because I could tell he genuinely feels bad, but he like has to do it because he's in a cult. So he says, he wrote saying, oh, I've been pretending that I'm a devout Christian, and I have agreed to pretend to be a Christian for 6 months and date a really good woman that I will like propose to or whatever. And he did that. And the woman fell so in love because she thought she found the love of her life.
Mm.
And then at the end of the 6 months, the initiation was over, and then he could like reveal his true self.
I
And
think he had to sleep with her as well, right?
yeah, he had to
She
sleep
was a
with her.
virgin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He had to sleep with her. So basically, took her virginity, and then at the end of the 6 months, he had to reveal to her who he really is to pass the initiation. And he said, I'm heartbroken," and she's so heartbroken. I don't know how I will recover from this, but at least I did the right thing in the name of whoever, whatever
This
entity
is
he
this is
sees it.
such an
So,
illusion.
and I
That
could tell that he didn't want to really, that he
Yeah.
actually fell in love with her, you know?
If
So
if
it's so like,
if you had a coin,
bad.
and on one side there would be like Christianity and
Mhm,
Islam and all this Abrahamic
mhm,
religions. If you flip that coin, there would be your dark cults on it. It's the same
mhm.
coin. It's
Same
it's
core.
doing what's hurting your soul.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it actually was so heartbreaking kind of seeing that,
And for
you know,
what?
for what?
For proving you're evil?
That
What does
you're
that?
worthy of some position.
And what
There's
kind of
gotta be a better
position?
way.
I don't know.
What better position? A new stool in mom's basement. I don't know. Like, what better position is there?
Many times, I don't know if you feel the same, but I'm now like 39. I'm gonna be in February. And all my life I was like hoping to find this person that will be like my like spiritual teacher and a guru, and someone that is going to be like perfect, and he's going to teach, or she's going to teach me everything.
Mhm.
And I was like, for a couple of times like in my life, I did meet a couple of people, and then very often I just realized that they don't know nothing, or they know some things but they don't know the whole picture. And every time I had to like come back to myself and realize that, okay, I am my own spiritual teacher.
I know, because they always tell you that you're gonna come across a teacher, and some people really do in very strange ways, but most people don't. You know,
No.
most of actually it does come boil down to your own teacher, because also these people, they also had to teach themselves.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I was very, I would say lucky, but I think
Hmm.
I had a very good intuition as well that was kind of guiding me all the time and was bringing me to the right place always. So I remember like when I started like my spiritual journey, let's say when I was 16, 17, I did run into the obstacle that I was mentioning, where I hit my, trapped emotions, and then I started researching that, and very soon I found that I think it was Reich, and I started reading his book. The I don't know what's the name in English. Primal Scream, I think.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is what I need. Like, this is the thing I need. And I was like, but where am I going to find this in Croatia? Come on, you know? So I was like, but I need to read more. Like, I need to find more books about this. So I ended up joining this yoga studio that had a library attached to it, just
Hmm.
so I can borrow the book. But I continue going to yoga classes as well. And then the yoga teacher told me, "Oh, actually, you like that book? There is actually a school that's very similar to that in your hometown." I was like, "No way." Like this synchronicity of
Yeah.
like almost being guided from one thing to another. And then I started taking therapies. I didn't have money, so like it was very hard to find money for it, and and that like really cleansed me. So I ditched spirituality for a couple of years, probably
Hmm.
3 4 years. I didn't do anything. I just went to therapy.
Hmm.
I was just like, okay, I need to sort my shit now. Like
True. Hmm.
I've had a very strong ego myself as well, so I was very, defensive, and I know everything the best kind of person. But I had this awareness, like, this is not very good to have. Like, this
Hmm.
is not a very nice thing to have. So I think I was very lucky to be able to like go from one thing to another, sort of like in the right direction. If I strayed on any
A
of
little bit.
these points, I probably wouldn't be the same person I am today.
When I was 24, I went to see a psychic, and they tried to talk me into creating like my tarot business. Back then, I didn't know even anything about tarot. I didn't
Hmm.
practice tarot, but you know, this person kept telling me, just do it, just do it, just do it for your business. And I said to this person, I said, even though this person was in every way superior than me, like
Hmm.
psychically, I just said, I remember being 24, then I said to this person, I'm not ready yet. There's a lot of things I have to work on myself. I still do such silly mistakes, and I mean, I just have such a big ego still, and like I'm not ready to do this. I know what you're trying to say, because this person was trying to tell me that I have a massive gift and I need to use it. And I said,
Hmm.
yes, I get that, but it's not the time yet because of my energy. It's just not good.
Hmm.
It's not gonna work because it's not gonna. I need to mature. I need to let some time pass.
Yeah.
And I need to look back and realize certain things about the things I was doing wrong and
Hmm.
the things I was saying, and I'm still learning. I still look back at my videos from a year ago, like the, you know, and I think to myself, oh my God, like you need to do better, girl. You know.
I was like, when I look back and at certain things that may seem silly now or a bit weird, the things that I did, but I realized at that point that was needed for my growth.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know?
Yeah, in the moment you felt that,
Yeah.
because I noticed when there's lots of very sudden, very obvious synchronicities,
Mm,
that you think to yourself, okay, I would be so silly to ignore that right
mm,
now. It's
mm,
literally given to me.
mm,
Like I must follow this path. I will never forget the story. Someone told me about a story of a woman that lived in England, and she had a family, she had a husband, and during Christmas they all got like gravely ill. Well, gravely, they had a flu, and she had to take care of everyone, the husband, the kids, and you know, she was a stay-at-home mom, just her whole life devoted to the kids, to the husband, to the housework. And one day she just said to herself, I'm actually sick of doing this, and I'm gonna go for a walk to clear my head. And she walked. There was a lot of fog that day,
mm.
and she walked through the fog. And for a reason, she just had this need to just walk through the fog. And she kept walking and walking and walking. And suddenly she stumbles upon a gate. And she was never the kind of person to get into people's gardens,
Yeah.
property. She just had felt this pull to just open the gate in this fog. She didn't even know where she went. It was just
Mm.
someone's house. So she gets in, and at the top of the stairs to this house, there's a guy waiting for her with an open door, saying, "I've been waiting for you. You've been called to me." And she became a really good medium and was doing readings for
Wow.
people. So, but that was very late in her life that this happened. Like she must have been, maybe, I don't know how, you know, definitely 40 or 50, or
Wow.
you know, so well, probably 40, because you know she had young kids at home. But that was like, you know what, when you feel this very obvious pull, the same way you felt, it's so good to follow that. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
I now know that this is good for me, you know, the same
Yeah.
way that I feel that my time is coming. But
Mm.
I feel that
I feel like I'm ready now.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like I feel like now I'm getting ready. I
Hmm.
wasn't ready at all when
Yeah.
I was 24. I was feeling everything still, but I wasn't ready for this.
Mm.
Now I'm ready for this.
Mm.
And now when I think it's gonna happen, I am like, you know, you always hope you're gonna meet your spiritual teacher. But will that happen? I'm not gonna like place my faith on that.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
like, is it going to happen? But I do have a feeling, and it's a feeling I got recently, that whatever's going to happen in the next couple of months is really like going to lead me to something I never thought I could do. I don't know why. It's just a feeling I have, but I might be wrong. You know, I'm always going to admit if I'm wrong. But yeah, definitely, I'm definitely ready now. So I'm just, it's almost like you have this stream and you just follow it.
Mm.
Like whatever takes me, you know?
I always had this feeling that it's not something that I like or appreciate,
Yeah.
but I know for the fact is unfortunately true that
Yeah.
I'm a pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
I am the path maker.
Yeah.
So I
Cool.
make paths for others to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I take the shovel and shovel the out. Unfortunately, that's my role in the world,
Yeah.
and there's like no one to show me the way. It's like I need to find it myself, and it's kind of feels like a very lone path.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I, I've probably been given that because I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It wouldn't be given to you otherwise.
Mm,
No
mm.
way.
It's like with everything. Like I'm always like I don't know. I always have to be a pioneer in it. It's like I'm even annoyed with it. It's like for example, like now in Ireland, I have to be the pioneer of females singing in metal
Yeah.
bands. It's like there's always some kind of pioneering for me that I'm
And,
like
this, and,
okay.
es- and especially when you're pioneering in something that nobody is really pioneering in, then you'll get a lot of like, you get adverse reactions to that,
Mm,
because it hasn't been done before, and
yeah.
it takes a while for people to adjust to that energy of something kind of new, something that they've never like
Yeah.
had before. because people are so used to always seeing the same things and being
Mm.
used to always the same type of people. Um, I, I don't. I lost my train of thoughts.
I'm actually kind of really good with seeing patterns, and
Hmm.
so I don't even know if that's a spiritual gift or maybe it's just like my insight. So I always rely on patterns. Like when I see certain patterns, I'm like, oh, okay. So I even like predicting future, I can predict it by patterns and decisions. Like it's very easy to see. I don't know, at least for me. Um, so I always knew that like certain decisions that I made, I knew the consequences on of
Yeah.
them, the good and bad. Like I remember like when I had to decide whether I'm going to take care of my mom when she had cancer, and I was like, okay, so if I decide not to, I will have to deal with this, and this, and I will feel like that and that and that in the future.
Hmm.
If I decide to stay, I will probably harm myself mentally and emotionally and in all possible ways. But I will be able to heal and eventually, I'll be fine. So but at least I'm going to have peace with myself, and say like, oh, okay, I stayed there for her and, I wanted to do that. So I was like, okay, I have two choices. What do I do? And where that brings me, and what kind of person I become ultimately by that decision. So I always do that. Like I look at options. Okay, so this is a tough option, but what
Yeah.
what that
But
option will bring to me. Like the
but
same thing when I decided to go back to college. I was like, okay, I'm on my deathbed. What do I regret? Not getting a degree. Okay, I need to go
yeah,
back to college.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good question. What would you regret if you were on your deathbed? So this is
Yeah.
a really
At the
good.
moment I have nothing. So let's see.
I have only one regret right now, and not living in the place I am supposed to live in, which I'm still kind of
Mm.
trying to figure out
Where?
where. I think I
Mm.
have an idea, but I'm still processing that, you know.
Mm.
But I think in the next, I don't know why, 5 years, I think it will be shown to be very and it's gonna be so obvious that I'm gonna say and I'm actually looking forward to watching back this video in 5 years, because it's gonna be so obvious that I will know. I think I already know subconsciously, but it's just, your mind plays tricks on you, and doubts and this and that. And oh, hello,
Yeah.
cat.
The cat is up, probably looking for food. There's food in
Yeah.
your bowl. Cat. Okay, I'm so surprised again that we the first 4 points we actually did.
We did. It just felt like just having a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was actually curious how far we are into all the points that we wanted to
yeah.
touch on.
I mean, we might have not touched them with the exact name the way I named them, but we did talk about them. Yeah, we did talk about cults. We did talk about gaslighting of spiritual abilities in the West.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk about dark arts and ego.
Mm-hmm.
We did
Totally.
talk
Yeah.
about Christian guilt and sexuality.
Yes.
That's so weird.
What's left now? Now we have the UFO
They have alien abductions
abductions.
and
Yeah.
entities as well.
Entities. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one.
Especially for you.
Oh God, yeah.
This is your area.
And it's so funny, when certain things happen, and they just happen so easily all the time.
Mm.
There's no resistance, and
Hmm.
that's where and it's so weird, because at the same time, this UFO alien thing, it's something that I've been interested in my whole life, but I never really paid much attention to. Like, I
Mm.
wasn't like very
I
into
was as
that.
well. I was as well. But that was thanks to my brother because when I was a kid, there was those newspapers of one was called Stella, I think. The other was UFO something. And he used to buy that a lot, and I like to read.
Mhm.
So I was always reading through this, and the X Files were on TV. So, aliens were a big thing for me, especially when I started connecting them to gods.
That's where That's where the plot thickens and the story gets deeper than you could have imagined it to get. Yeah, same as you. I was watching the X-Files and just reading about,
Hmm.
but I never really took much interest. As much, I always was more interested in ghosts and
Same.
spirits and
Same.
fairies and cryptids, but
Same.
not really aliens that much. So it's
Mm-mm.
not something that you're known me to be crazy about.
Mm-mm.
Well, interesting turn of events that now it's become so, like, I never thought it would become important in my life at all. I really
Mm.
never thought, and it's something that a little bit took me by surprise. But as you know, the since August I've been having the weirdest dreams and visitations that I've never had
Did
anything like
did
it
that
before.
did that start from August, or it was
Well,
happening before?
well, it was happening before, but I was always told that it's just very vivid dreams, and I have a very vast imagination, which I do. Not denying that, but you always you always listen to your parents and to people around you saying, "Look, it's just if you just have very vivid dreams," and
Mm.
I always thought they were just dreams, and I shouldn't really think they would absolutely terrify me, but I shouldn't think much of them. And then I don't know what happened. Fast forward a couple of years, well, a couple of years, lots of years, and now August. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah, from August, I've actually felt like almost like everything became so much more intense.
there's definitely something that happened
It's a
from
switch. Yeah.
mid-July.
Yeah.
And I remember I turned 30 on the 16th of July.
Oh
And
wow.
around my birthday, I remember I was hospitalized for salmonella and stuff like
Oh my
that.
gosh.
And ever then, but even despite all of this, I did still feel this, obviously, also getting close to death kind of makes you closer to the other side.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I was very ill. I had like severe dehydration to the point where my potassium was so low that I could have just had a heart attack any moment.
Wow.
Because, obviously dehydration, you lose body salts and so on.
Yeah.
So that kind of, but there was a shift that happened a little bit before my birthday, I think, around the 14th of July. I think there was a new moon or a full moon. I can't
I
remember
think
now.
it was a new moon.
A new
And
moon
I know
around that
because
time.
I was in
You know,
Croatia, right?
I think you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we
Yeah.
were both in Croatia or
Yeah.
around the same time, kind of.
Yeah.
I think so. I can't remember now. I have to go back and.
I
But
was in Croatia somewhere around mid end of July. Mid, I think July. Yeah. 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 Yes, definitely. Yeah. Now I remember because I was supposed to come at the same time as my friend, but because of college and everything, there
Mhm.
was so many delays and everything because I had to take some exams. So I ended up going mid July, and I was actually in Croatia at that time, and I felt the energy switch, but I wasn't sure, was it only in Croatia or was it like a global thing?
I know, right? Because like we were in Croatia at the same time, so I know Croatian energies can be very tough, as you know. So I wasn't sure, is it just me being in Croatia, or is it the fact that I'm turning 30, so I'm having like paranoias about like growing
Health.
older, and
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, goodbye my 20s. Oh my God. Like I was really panicking about that. Like, oh, I haven't, the societal pressure. Oh, I haven't achieved some things I should have achieved it, blah, blah, blah. Now I don't care about it. I'm like, yeah, sure. But anyway, the same time just felt this energy change. And I wasn't, at first I wasn't the same as you. I wasn't sure what it was exactly that these things happened. But once I got out of the hospital and I rested and everything, that's where the dreams began.
Oh my gosh.
They started very randomly. Like,
Hmm.
obviously I always had strange dreams, but you know
Hmm.
what I mean? That from the end of August, it's almost like the energy started off like that and started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And
Yeah, and it was some kind of energy wave connected to the lower chakras,
mhm,
and it really didn't suit me much.
no,
It was very heavy. It
mhm.
was so heavy, and it was like I feel like it was pulling out so much stuff out of me, and yeah, it was so weird. I felt physically really unwell as well.
I remember. I
Yeah.
remember you saying
Yeah, I
that.
was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
tired. I was never so tired. And there was no reason actually because I just finished college, right? So I should have felt
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
no, I just like everything was such a struggle. I felt tired. I couldn't sleep well, and when I was sleeping, like it was just like I would wake up even more tired, and I started like doing my usual energy work
Yeah.
just wouldn't work, and
I remember you complaining about waking up super tired. And you
oh
know what? I was a bit scared as well because I kept waking up so like okay, well I've suffered this brief illness, but I just felt like I couldn't not stop sleeping.
yeah, yeah,
And
oh,
and obviously that's where the all the dreams, because I was just, I guess I slept more, which is exactly what they want you to sleep more so they can have their effects on you, when you sleep.
yeah, yeah,
So, and it just got so intense. And it's, I think, when did it reach a peak point? I think it was around, was it November or
probably, yeah,
October? Actually, end of October, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
Halloween-ish time,
Halloween. It reached
yeah,
its peak.
yeah.
And now it's kind of, now there's still something brewing, but now I feel like my energy is stable,
Ever
you know?
since the around Christmas Eve, there was another wave of energy,
Yes,
and
yes.
that one actually helped. Even though on the day that I felt it was probably the worst night I had.
I remember, we were just messaging in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Hey, do you feel this? Yeah, it's shit. I feel it
this
too.
is shit. Like this is awful. Get me out. I was trying to sleep, and I felt bad because like my partner was sleeping like snoring away in the bed, feeling nothing.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I was like, I can't close my eyes because every time when I close my eyes, I just see it's almost like someone's playing you random movie scenes from around 70 different movies. And I was like,
Yeah, I know,
please
I know.
stop. It's like, I can't, like, this is too much info. I don't know. My brain was just, I think it was shutting down because it was like, stop. I
I
don't get it.
remember,
Like random shit, like one scene and then another scene, and they have nothing together, and then a third scene, and then someone stabbing me, and then
I have a name for that actually. I know exactly what you mean, and it's something that I started experiencing when I was a kid. Just these random scenes, and
yeah.
they interlock with each other, and it's so confusing. You know what? When I was a kid, I had a name for this. I still have, and I always call it the destroyer of my sleep. It doesn't give me, it's I'm closing my eyes and I'm having tap 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 tap, all these visions, all these scenes, and they, none of them make sense to each other, but
Mm,
they're very disrupting. So I used to say, like, close my eyes as a kid, and this thing would start, but not always, very randomly,
mm,
like maybe
mm.
once every 2 months or something like that. And I would say to myself, "Oh no, the destroyer of my dreams is back. What is this? Go away! I hate it. I
I would
hate it."
have this very often. If I sleep in someone else's bed, for example, then I would just have a collage of their memories and emotions throughout the entire night, and I'm like, please make it stop.
I cannot imagine what, because I work in pharmacy, and I cannot imagine what you'd be going insane. It's the stuff that, because we have sick people and patients and
Mm,
coming in, and sometimes I'm focused on work mostly, but there's some days where I just, everything, all of the people's shit and all of the bad
brushes
stuff
off
and all
you.
the emotions, poor people, all the
Yeah.
very bad emotions, they're all just like tack 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 tack.
Mm,
And I come home and I feel so attacked by all this interference, and that's the main reason why I have pledged to myself that this year I'm going to leave this
it's
kind of
not a
work
good job
behind.
for you.
No,
You're highly sensitive, and
no.
I
Healthcare, and anything to do with healthcare. Anyone watching this and thinking about going into healthcare, being highly, highly sensitive, I would not recommend. I mean, obviously,
no.
you do what, like, people should do what they feel.
Yeah.
Obviously, for some people, it's the right thing to do, but it's very dangerous when you're hypersensitive. It's. you
I
know.
I always think that I would do very good in how you call that, palliative care, um, like really kind of helping people pass
Yeah.
away. I'd probably be good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but everything else, no.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's different to definitely different to
But
help people cross over
I,
than
I
to.
I wouldn't do it though.
Yeah, I know.
It's a very
Yeah.
heavy energy to be around, so I would need to like literally develop a system of cleansing
In
after.
it's funny because I wanted to become a nurse actually for a
Mm,
while during COVID. I wanted to be a healthcare assistant, and I actually took a course to do it, and then I gave up. Because I realized uh, my wants, my ego wants is, oh, I want to have a good job, and I want it to be well paid,
mm,
and I want to have something practical that I can use. That was me
mm,
ego, but
mm,
me spiritual was like, do not do this. You are literally gonna collapse. Like
no.
it's gonna be so bad for you. Like,
Mm,
and I felt this so strongly that I gave up my course because I thought, no, it's nice that my ego wants to achieve something, some
yeah,
kind of like,
yeah.
but it was purely ego, and I understood. And pharmacy was also ego for me. It is ego for me.
Mm, mm.
It's a way that I feel like I have this title. You
My,
know what
my,
I
my
mean?
ego was like the
Yeah, but
store
it's not for
manager,
me. It's not.
the manager. That was my ego.
Yes. Hmm.
But I'm not a
Yeah.
good manager because, like, first of all, for every single company that I work for, I couldn't give less damn about them. And then I would need to like correct my workers in order to for that company to like achieve better results, and I would care more for the people than for the company. So that makes me a very
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
manager. So I would never
Yeah.
like scream at someone, like, you know, I'm very empathetic, so I can't hurt people because that hurts me as well. um, and yeah, so that was my ego trying to like show to my dad that I'm
Hmm.
capable. I'm like, oh, screw
And
this. You know, I'm more of I like being a teacher. I think teacher and probably therapist as well.
yeah, that's
Mm.
something that it's kind of opposite of ego. It's something that I actually, and when you do it, you probably just flows as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. When I teach singing, it's like the
Mhm.
most natural thing for me because I really love that. And or even if I teach anything else, I'm like super passionate about it. So I'm just, it's going to brush off, off as my students are going to become passionate about it as well because I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
the best thing ever. Or like for a therapist, because like I can really see deep inside of
Mhm.
the people. Like I can really, sometimes it's tricky because sometimes I can't tell everything that I see because sometimes it's too much. And sometimes when people, and like obviously, people would sort out their shit if they could, but because we have so many resistances, and sometimes like going through resistances with another person, oh my god, it can be almost like physical work.
It is. It's tough working with people.
Mm,
Uh, I'm still learning to. I'm not a fan of really working with people. With people that are similar to me, no problem. People that, as I said, have the resistance. They don't like, even in readings, for example,
yeah.
when people come to me for readings, there's some people super easy to see, no problem, no problem to connect to, no problem to talk to. But there's certain people with so much resistance and expectations that like unrealistic expectations as well. And obviously, if I'm gonna read, I need you to let me access your energy. And if you're not doing that, I can't see anything. How can I read you
Yeah.
when you're putting up this wall? And I can't access. Sometimes if you're very, if I'd say if you're, you must be like super super. Some people are very good at that, just even breaking that shield. I'm not
Mm.
yet there, you know, not yet.
No shield
Because,
can stop me.
yeah, I know that's why I said some people are just, you know, no shield can stop you, and it's great because I wish I could do that as well. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Oh my god. The trick is to like actually enter people.
Like literally, yeah.
Literally. Energetically you just go
Mhm.
in and you're like,
Yeah.
okay. And then you're like, wow.
Mhm. It's also
um
the some people are very tough to crack as well.
hmm,
You know, had a had a client that, it's almost like I know what she could improve in,
yeah.
but she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to improve in that. She's
There's always a
refusing to.
reason, you know?
Yeah,
There's
she's like a statue, just stuck and not
Mhm.
moving anywhere. And you cannot work with this energy that's not willing to. As you said, you had a friend that you advised on, and things started happening very quickly for this friend once the changes were implemented.
Yeah.
And it's not always something that we want to hear as well.
Hmm.
You know,
It's
it's not.
usually something we don't want to hear.
And a lot of people take offense. It's like, oh, that's not what I expected to hear. It's like, I know, I didn't expect to hear certain things about me
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
But, it's
Yeah.
tough luck. Sometimes we have to accept certain things about ourselves. And there's things about myself that I don't like as well.
Yeah.
That like I wish I didn't have, but
Mm.
here we are, it's all part
When
of
I went to therapy, and I remember like also like I was like, I came in from this very ego thing. Okay, I'm gonna come and fix myself.
it.
I will fix this. There's things to fix, and let's fix things. And it was the worst thing ever, because like even I remember in the school, the psychology school, everything that everyone else had as a trauma, I had the opposite. So
Mhm.
I was like your biggest weirdo with it. All my therapies were just silly, their therapies were intense, and there was a lot of crying, and my ones were like, if someone would, when people would be looking at it, it was almost like, what the hell is happening here? So a lot of people came in for the confidence, for like freedom of sexuality, and I came in for cracking my ego and actually regaining my real confidence under my ego. And
Mhm.
I was, for example, like using sexuality as a shield.
Mhm.
No one else was doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah.
was so weird. And he had to tell me so many things that I was not really happy to hear.
Mhm.
But he was true. It was
Yeah.
correct. And I was like, okay, I'm paying this dude for this. I'm paying him quite a lot. So I either listen to the stuff that he's saying, or I don't come here anymore. But like obviously I have a problem. So if there is even 1% of chance that he's going to be able to help me, I actually have to follow him blindly, which I did.
Yeah, no, because and you either feel that even though you don't like maybe agree with something, but you feel someone like genuinely wants to help you,
Yeah,
genuinely wants you
yeah.
to be better. You know, there's definitely always things that at the end of the day, it's up to us to implement this.
Mm,
Like, okay, come to our realization, of course, which needs some things need to be pointed out.
mm.
Like, I actually love when people close to me, not people that don't know me, excuse me, but people that are close to me, when they point out certain flaws that they see in me by dealing
Mm,
with me very closely.
mm.
And obviously, I'm talking about someone that is very close to me, not someone that
A random
sees me at
person.
work 2 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever, and builds this opinion of me, which is like I don't take that at all.
Mm,
It's But yeah, someone that's very close to me that points out like certain flaws, like, oh, when I say this, you say this or you behave like that. It's like, wow, that's interesting. I never knew that, like, or I thought perhaps it's true, but like when someone tells you that, it's really like, wow, kind of mind opening, which is I kind of love getting that from people that know me.
mm, mm. True, true.
Mm.
But many times, like people are not gonna, advise you from. good intentions. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that you need to like you need
Hmm.
to know who to listen. So I always have the rule like that I first need to like admire that person, or that person has to have certain skill
Hmm.
in the area that they're advising me of.
Exactly.
Because
That as
like
well.
if someone's gonna tell me like comment of my on my singing, like for example like the technical part or the
Hmm.
skill, that person needs to be a good singer, him
Exactly.
or herself. Like
Hmm.
if if someone's gonna say to me like, oh yeah, don't put emotions in your voice, okay, I can accept that, you know, because anyone can see that. But if it's like, oh, I think your technique is bad, and I'm like, okay, cool, what do you know about vocal technique?
I know, yeah.
Sorry. It's the same with like spirituality or psychology. Like okay, you can say that you see something, but like, you know, is this like from an ego position that you're telling me, or is it like because you are having a certain insight and telling me this? uh, you have you have to be so careful with people.
Yeah, that's definitely something that uh, you know, because at first, you know, when you're in your ego, you get so sensitive to critique. Like
Mm,
I'm still, I can be quite sensitive to. I'm not sensitive, more very. I'm very reactive to critique that I think is unjust. You know,
mm,
like how you don't know me. How can you like criticize me if you don't like sleep with me, you don't eat breakfast with me, you don't
yeah,
listen to what I say every day.
yeah.
How can you like make a point in judgment? But with years, obviously, you realize it's like lots of people are like that, and it's just you have to accept that it's like that. It's this is how people are. There's nothing you can do to change that. You can just become deaf to that, you know, so it doesn't affect you, you know.
It's like for example like when I get my singing students,
Hmm.
so there's a couple of things to consider, you know, when someone walks in through the door. Like, is this person wanting to sing professionally, or they just want to have fun?
Hmm.
So I will treat them differently.
Meow.
Meow.
I can
What?
see she's doing
What?
circles around.
What? Oh
Meow.
my god, I'm gonna have to give her food.
That was a very obvious. Hey, I'm hungry.
Do
Get up now.
I need to give you food? Yeah, I think so. Anyhow, Franca, let me finish this. So, or like if they want to do this seriously, then I need to detect like what's stopping them. Like, is it a self confidence thing? Is it a technique thing? Um, and then what part of technique? And then eventually, I'm gonna hit the point where which emotions are stuck within this person's body, so this is stopping them from singing. And then, like, how do I approach this subject? Because this is gonna be a bit tricky.
I I remember when I was around 13 and I went to lots has happened when I was 13, 14. It was
Oh
very
wow.
important years, like very dramatic.
Yeah.
And I went to see the singing teacher back then. And you know what? The first five lessons, we worked on my trauma of like, because I was bullied in school.
I'm a psychologist.
And we didn't sing because she says you cannot sing because you're so hurt. Like
Mm.
you're choking on your
Mhm,
voice.
mhm, mhm.
And we
True.
had to, and I remember the first two lessons, I was crying a river in front of her because
Singing is
it
a
was
very
amazing, and that was
esoteric
it, and it
thing.
really helped me sing then.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's
it was, and I was, and you know, I was paying this woman, well, from my pocket money, I was paying this one. I was like, why is she making me come here and I have to cry and I have to talk about school? I want to sing. I don't want to talk about school. But actually, that had to be said, you know.
everything that you feel, everything that ever happened to you will show up in your voice when you sing. That's why singing is so almost